So the editor gets edited. I assume you have no chip on your shoulder. You're not coming in saying, "Hey, I've got the editing expertise. Why are you revising my book? It was perfect. What'd you do?" So how are you working with Sarah, and how is it working then with Martha to get these different visions incorporated? I mean, are you? Oh, what's the way to ask this without? But I just let the chips fall where they may. You come in and you've got a very specific vision for your book, and then I assume that both of them have got some visions to bring to bear as well. How are you navigating that? And do you prefer to have two experts coming in and backing your play and elevating your game, or do you prefer back when you were the person that made the call in the shout?
Oh, I'm so thrilled that they're making the call. I think part of the hard part for me about being an editor is that as I've said many, many times now, I don't love to plan or be logical. So to be the person, the editor, who says, okay, this is ready, to go to print, like that to me is so scary, to be the one to make that decision. And I remember I had such enormous respect for Wendy Lamb when I worked for her, because we'd be doing drafts of books with an author and I'd be like, it's good, it's great, and she's like, no, I think it can go further. We could do another round. We could do one more round. And that level of being able to read a manuscript multiple times and still figure out how to help the author revise it to get to another level and to keep going, like that. I mean, I don't know. I didn't have that in me when it came to someone else's work. And I just feel so grateful and lucky now to have somebody else do that to my work, because it's just been an amazing experience. And in that sense, maybe I am a great client or person for them to work with, because I'm like, please edit me, and I'll take all your suggestions. Sure, anything you want me to do, I'll change. You want me to rename the character? Great. I'm very open to suggestion, because I trust their opinions, their expert opinions, and yeah, maybe it's also that they're a great fit, and so it's been a wonderful process working and revising with them.
And then, what was the next question I had went right out of my mind, but I did want to ask you an extremely nerdy question that I normally wouldn't get quite this nerdy, but because I'm talking to you and because I know that you have a very specific way that you're using language, I'm just going to pick a random sentence, although this is something I picked up as a style throughout. So I'm looking at page 65 early enough that we're going to avoid spoilers, and I'm going to look at one or two sentences. So she's there, period, almost all the time, period. This is on the about third paragraph down, although I'm reading the advanced reader's edition, so I hope the answer isn't, oh, we corrected that before the final version. Thanks for bringing that up. But I noticed that similar structure throughout of sentences that are kind of broken up in odd places that kind of give greater resonance. That's the one I'm picking because it was short and easy. But there's like one, I think, on the next page. But throughout, I noticed these fragmented sentences, which interests me because it's an interesting style choice. And again, like I said before, no, I'm not saying any of this is, oh, I could have seen this done differently. I just want to know why that choice works, because it does work. It resonates greatly. Is that a specific style of yours from the start? Is that an affectation?
Well, thank you for pointing that out. I'm like, no, I don't think that was corrected in the final, because I don't think I would have seen it as a mistake. So
I don't think it was a mistake at all. Like I say, it gives that short, what could have been just one sentence, that much more oomph, because it's broken up there, and because I've got to take the pause in between saying it beyond what just a mere comma would do.
Yeah, I mean, I think with voice, I think I'm very conscious, and maybe I'm overly conscious, which I don't know, of breaking up sentence structure. Like sometimes I feel like I might tend to write long, sentences with tons of sub-clauses or whatever. I don't remember the grammatical terms. And so I think I end up being very conscious to try to break up the sentence structure, to have a long sentence followed by a little fragment followed by a one word, and just kind of try to break that up so it doesn't become too monotonous in terms of voice. And then maybe also just to try to capture the feel of, how for emphasis, by having those little 3-word sentences, 4-word sentences, kind of creates emphasis or, so I guess it is a stylistic thing. But yeah, now that I'm reading that sentence, I'm like, oh, that does sound strange. So.
Well, no, but strange.
Yeah,
That's not me.
I'm very conscious of, as a reader, especially for kids, and not to speak down to them, but I think that the way that the words look on the page, and I think Greenwillow does a great job, as in a lot of publishers do, of having, lots of space and air on the page. But I'm very aware of that and how, overly heavy things could be, and how that could sort of turn you off as a reader, as adult and or child, to have too dense of, the text be too dense, overly dense. And I actually worried when I first saw this, it's like, oh, maybe these chapters seem too long, it seems too heavy, too overdone. So I think I'm so worried about going in that direction that maybe I'm trying to go more in the other direction. I don't know.
Do you have any kind of voice rules where this is no paragraph will exceed this many lines, no chapter will exceed this many words?
No, but I will say that feeling like this one might have been overdone, I'm sort of now trying to maybe go a little spare in my next one, and just trying to be a cleaner writer in terms of word choice and not having extraneous words. I mean, I'm so admiring of an author like Katie Camillo, who just the most spare writing, but so evocative. Like someone like that, I'm in awe of how she does that. So, sometimes I remember when I was in my college writing class, somebody snarkily pointing out that I had 20 colors, like green, blue, red, the green chair and the blue table and the red walls. Like on one page, there were 10 different colors, named. And it made me forever self-conscious of not doing that. So every time I write a color now, I am like, do I need to have this? Do I need to say the brown wooden desk? No, so I do think about those things especially when I'm revising or going through it. And
so watching or listening saying, but I like colors. I want as many colors as I can. Why is that not a good idea?
Why? Well, I mean, it could be redundant. Like one of the example I just gave, like a brown wooden desk. I mean, I guess a wooden desk could be painted a color, in which case then you might want to say the blue painted wooden desk. But otherwise, wood is naturally brown. So to say it's a brown wood is maybe redundant, possibly. I mean, it might not be. But so, you want to avoid redundancies and clunkiness, because it takes away from the emotion, maybe, if you overburden your language with filler or description that's not necessary. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the explanation for why, if that makes sense. I mean, of course, it's funny because in this book, there is stuff about color consciously. I mean, she's somebody who, sort of sees colors for people, and color is part of the story in that way. So I probably should have done an edit where I just looked at every mention of color and made sure that they were all consciously enough decided and included. That would have been a good edit to do, but it's too late now.
Well, this question of author voice, and I'm seeing that our time is rapidly running away from us. It always goes so fast. Where'd it go? But I did want to ask, are there any other specific stylistic, maybe we were talking about author voice, which of course is always a tricky thing to tackle. How would you define your author voice, or would you? Are there some things that you can look at on a page and like, oh, that even though I haven't read this book before, it's obviously one of mine. I recognize it like from another life.
I mean, probably. I don't. It's so funny. Voice is such an interesting question, and I actually once had to give an SCBWI talk on voice, and I didn't realize how complicated it was until I did it. And there's different ways to approach it, because you can talk about it like, in terms of like syntax and, person and tense, those aspects of voice. But then there's also something that's less tangible, I guess. I mean, it does come down again to the word choices you make, right? So yeah, I mean, I think, and then there's all the talk about finding your voice, and so, but yet a voice is so internal and it's so much essential to who you are. So I hope that I have a distinct voice, that I could sort of pick something up. I mean, it's actually fun. I have a drawer here that I need to look through, old stuff and kind of picking it up and being like, oh, this is actually not so bad, or, but I don't know that the voice is so drastically different. I think that there's something essential that's always there, for an author.